Hello, welcome to the museum. Today we are going to explore the parlor. But first of all, I am one of your guides. I am Melissa and I'm a longtime docent at the museum, and this is one of my favorite rooms.
My name is Midori and I am also a longtime docent at the Langley Centennial Museum. And more specifically, this parlor is the Michaud Parlour. The Michaud family was an early French-Canadian pioneer family that came to the Langley Prairie area in the 19th century. If you've seen some of the other video tours of the museum, you know that the pioneer era in Langley varies from the late 1800s well into the 1930s. So what you're going to see in the parlor might look a little bit different than some other things you may have seen if you visited the museum before or if you've seen some of the other recordings. Now, we don't use the name parlor very often anymore, do we, Melissa?
No, what do we use?
We might use living room or great room.
Family room.
Family room. But in the pioneer era, especially in the late 19th century, the parlor would be the best room in the house. Now, not all the families would have a parlor in their home, but the Michauds came to Langley very early, and after their very first simple home, they were able to build a much grander home in the late 1880s, and this is what this parlor is based on. Now, some museums might actually have the actual room from the home and in the museum. This one is a replica, but it is very detailed, and it's based off of photographs and recollections of people that actually visited the real Michaud family parlor.
And I believe some family members too.
Yes, and some family. And now I said the parlor would have been used for very special occasions, and in this case, in real life, the parlor probably did have doors on it, so it would not have been used very often, and children would have needed to have permission to be in that room, and possibly not allowed even to go in there without adults.
Could they go in at any other time in the year?
Possibly on special occasions. If they were helping with cleaning, they might be allowed to go in, or if they were decorating for a special occasion.
Christmas time was one time that they could come through.
And I heard oftentimes that the Michaud family would sometimes offer up their home for community meetings, perhaps even some church services or meetings as well, because it was larger. And unfortunately, even as docents, we need permission to go into the Michaud parlor, and we're adults.
Yes. Do you want to go?
I would love to go into the parlor. I would love to go into the parlor.
Let's go in.
This is the room in the house that was used for entertaining, and it would be the room in the house that was saved for special occasions as well. And so the best and finest furniture would be in this room. This furniture would probably not be homemade. It would be ordered by catalog, as would be the rugs. The walls would be properly finished and painted. You'll notice that there is a picture rail, and the picture rail means that there might be artwork or framed photographs on the wall. This is also the room where those would be kept, not like now in modern times where we might keep them in other rooms of the house. It's a room for entertaining, where the ladies or men might sit and have tea or coffee. If you had a musical instrument, the parlor would also be the room where you keep the musical instrument in the room and safely away from more of the working room areas of the house. The Michaud family was very well established as they came to the Langley area in the late 19th century. Their first home was a simpler, more of a farming or cabin type home, and when they became more established, they built their main home in the late 1880s, and it's from that home that this parlor is based. The best furniture, glass windows, properly framed out, and the walls would have been properly finished with paint and or wallpaper. In this case, the room is based off of photos and recollections of people that actually visited Michaud home and sat in the parlor. And the pink that you see on the walls, that you might be able to see on the walls, is in fact true to the era. They did use a lot of color on their walls when they had a more established home. And as you can see, the dark colors of some of the knickknacks and the wood of the furniture stand out quite well from that pink wall. You'll note that some of the artwork on the walls are older photograph styles, and that is actually members of the Michaud family that built the home. The Michauds were French Canadians, and they were the first Catholic family in the Langley area. So early on, when they lived in Langley, their home was often used for the first Catholic church services in Langley before a church could actually be established and built. And later on, it was also used for community meetings, again because they had one of the larger and more grander homes in Langley. And just below the photographs, on the one wall, there is a wooden box. Are you able to see that? Do you know what that is? Does it look like anything you have seen before? Please remember that this is late 19th century, so we're talking about the late 1880s into the 1990s. And I did say this room is for entertaining. Do you sometimes sit and listen to music with your friends and family? I think perhaps that might be another item in the house that could make music when you had guests over.
Did you guys guess what the wooden box that Midori was talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's one of my favorite items in the parlor, and it is an old time, it's about 1883 music box. And it's not like our CDs, our stereos today. And first of all though, I am going to actually play this for you. You have to wind it up. So that music actually comes from a great big disc. And you can see that on these discs there are little grooves. And within the music box, it's like a little record player too. It will pick up the grooves, and each of those grooves will have a little tone to it, and that creates that music within the box. A lot of music boxes were huge because they had to accommodate the workings inside and the disc. And so we have a few of these discs within the archives of the museum, and it's very fascinating to play. But as Midori also said, as adults, even as docents, we do need the permission to come in, and it's usually around Christmas time when we allow ourselves to show the students from different schools what the parlor would be like at Christmas time. And this is, as I say, one of my favorite items is that we get to play a little bit for the kids because they have never seen one of these. They know their CDs, now they know their iPhones, and the likes of where they get their music from. Hi again, I'm at one of my other favorite items in the parlor, and it's the pump organ. But first of all, I wanted to explain why I'm wearing these white gloves. You may have seen me wearing them at the music box, and I'm going to be playing the piano in a minute, or the pump organ, but the gloves actually helps protect these items because they're old from the oils in my skin. And so back to the pump organ, I am wearing the gloves because I'm going to demonstrate. So the pump organ, as I say, it is another musical instrument. And why it's called a pump organ is because at my feet you will see these louvers, and I need to pump them because it gets the air, it brings the air in so that the sound can come from the instrument. These levers here, they would actually pull in and out, and you get different sounds and tones. One is a flute, one is louder, one is a viola, a bigger type of violin. So this is wood. We have the workings inside, which is like an organ, And with the pumping, you will get some music, and I haven't done this for a while, so let's see how I can do today. Little ditty there that you can see. It's not easy to play if you do play piano today. Here, it's a thigh workout because you're pumping all the time.
You may have noticed on your preview of the Michaud Parlour that there we have mannequins in the parlor. Now normally a family in the late 19th century would not be keeping mannequins or even dressmaker forms in their parlor. These are mannequins that we have here at the museum just to give you an idea of the style of clothing that the lady of the house would have worn in that time period. And this example is a very nice dress of the era. It would not have been worn for doing errands or working in the garden. This would have been what, say, Mrs. Michaud may have worn when she was entertaining guests on a Sunday afternoon after church. I hope you've enjoyed your visit and preview of the Michaud Parlour at Langley Centennial Museum.